Luis Boisson is the reason why we love tennis. And let me explain. So over the last 9 days or so, like many people who love tennis, I've been watching really nothing else but Roland Garros and all the main matches from Djokovic, Sinner, Alcaraz, Sabalenka, Golf, all the big stars. And I've been starting at like 5 in the morning here in America, all the way till really like 5 p.m. at night. Some matches go a little bit later, like Musetti and Rune just a couple of days ago. But when you watch a crazy amount of tennis, what you notice is that you focus mostly on the big stars, the large games, the huge competitions that are happening, but you don't really focus much on what's happening on the outer courts. So you mostly watch Philippe Chartier, Suzanne Lenglet, Simone Mathieu, but not court 7 or court 14. So a qualifier, a wild card, or seed number 100 something in the world, you don't really get an opportunity to see them and see what they're like until they make it further in the tournament. But then in the third round, we had an interesting matchup. We had two French women competing against each other. Now, the French haven't had a great Roland Garros this year. Arthur Fils played a great 5-setter, but he had to withdraw. Gael Monfils got eliminated. So for French people, it's been a little bit hit or miss. Moutet got destroyed by Djokovic. So to have two French women competing in the third round, like a little bit deeper in the tournament, is very special, and it means a lot to French people. Just like when Tommy Paul and Taylor Fritz, for instance, or Frances Tiafoe and Blake Shelton play each other at the US Open, for that American audience, it just means a lot. And I actually got a chance to watch her game against Elsa Giacomo. That match was a 3-setter, a very fun affair, and I was like, Luis Boisson has a little bit something. She's interesting. I had never watched her play before because she hadn't been that deep in Grand Slams or any other big matchups. And then I looked her up a little bit and I learned that she had ACL surgery last year. She has made less than $200,000 of prize money in her entire career. She's played less than 200 singles matches in her entire career. And this is her first ever major. First ever major is this French Open. Her home tournament that she watched as a kid growing up saying, I want to play there. And she made it all the way to the fourth round against the number 3 player in the world, Jessica Pegula. Now, Jessica Pegula has been hit or miss this season, but you would think that she would be an overwhelming favorite against this player. A wild card player who, like I said, many people didn't really know anything about her, but she was just such an exciting, fun watch in that matchup against Giacomo. And I thought, maybe this will be decent, but Pegula should finish her in straight sets, probably something like 6-4, 6-3. And the first set, kind of looked like that. It looked like Pegula's just going to run away with this. You know, Boisson had a few good moments, but Pegula got a little bit sloppy. She got a little bit messy, and she allowed Boisson to get back in the match. And Boisson eventually just did her thing. She had a great second set. Her forehand was working incredibly well. I was super surprised with just how calm and composed she was. We all saw in the last game, she saved, it must have been 4 break points. You know, times where like, if Pegula breaks you here, because of her experience and because I still believe she's the better player, of course, she's probably going to win this match. You haven't been on enough of these stages. And for her to just save 4 break points and then end up winning the match in the last set, incredibly special. And to see the crowd, to see the way that they were all behind her, cheering her name, being like, that's our one, that's our woman, it's special. And just some statistics that many people may not know. I mean, for Luis Boisson to win this match, she was number 352 in the world coming into Roland Garros. She had, obviously, like I said, an ACL injury. She hadn't played too much tennis because of that, and it was just finding herself again. And she beat Mertens in the first round, who was number 24 in the world, already huge. And another match, Giacomo, and made it all the way to facing Pegula. By beating Pegula, she has vaulted up at least 200 spots and now will be in the WTA top 25. I mean, in tennis, it means more than any other sport, because when an underdog wins in other sports like basketball or NFL or soccer, those guys are still walking away with an insane amount of money. Their money isn't based on them winning. Maybe their pride and confidence is, but their money really isn't. Maybe they'll get extra bonuses and they'll live on, or, they'll get a move to a bigger team and maybe make more money. But Most of the time, they're going to be just fine if they don't win a game. It's really not that big of a deal. Tennis is very unique in its way that you only really make money by going far in these tournaments, particularly Grand Slams. You know, Vox had an entire video a long time ago about how tennis players weren't making that much money, and if you're not ranked in the top 150 in the world, and if you're not consistently playing at Grand Slams, you don't make a lot, and you don't even necessarily make a living. You know, there are players who are phenomenal players, but they literally were forced out of the sport because they weren't making enough money. Because you got to pay your coach, you know, quite a bit of money, at least probably 70 grand a year. You have to travel to all these competitions all around the world, have your own accommodation and everything. And all that could go out the window if you get injured. And you have no protection if you're injured. You can have a protected ranking, but it's not like you're exactly making money while you're sitting there with a torn ACL. So for Lois Boisson, winning this match almost guarantees that she's going to be able to play at Wimbledon. Because like I said, you only really make money if you're consistently playing at Grand Slams, because that's where the insane amount of money is. I mean, Jannik Sinner made $3.6 million just by winning the US Open last year. And for Boisson to make it to the quarterfinals, even if she loses to Andreeva probably in a couple days, she is guaranteed at least 440,000 euros. That's like changing money. I mean, to somebody who is, like I said before, Roland Garros number 352 in the world and only 22 years old and just coming up and trying to find her footing at the top echelon of tennis, that is truly life-changing, career-changing money. For a while, maybe she doesn't have to worry about money. She doesn't have to worry about getting to all these tournaments. Because if you notice, most people from a particular country like France will play all the tournaments in France because they don't got to pay for it, really. It's like short commute, whatever it is, and it's easy. But for her now, she can play at the crown jewel of tennis, Wimbledon, potentially at least be a qualifier or a wild card for sure at the US Open, and consistently playing slams now just because she won this amazing match against Pegula. That is why we love tennis. It is uniquely different in its structure. Now, I love what the ATP and the WTA have introduced with baseline. And basically, if you look at every slam, the amount of money that the winners make has actually gone down. At one point, it was 3.8 million for singles, but then when Djokovic won in 2023, it was only 3 million. I say only, but it bumped up to 3.6 when Sinner won. But what has been more focused on is qualifier 1, qualifier 2, qualifier 3, round of 128, round of 64. Those people are the ones who need a little bit more money. The winners are fine. $2-3 million, whatever that range is, they're fine. But those people need a little bit more, and I love what they did. But to make that truly life-changing money, you got to win matches against people who are insanely higher ranked than you. And it's kind of funny that she did this against Pegula, who's literally the daughter of a billionaire and the owner of the Buffalo Bills. But you have to win these matchups in order to be thought of as something in the tennis world. And it's not just WTA ranking points. It's not just the cash money. It's the visibility. It's the fact that she'll be remembered for doing this on Chartier. It's the fact that she'll probably get new sponsorship deals and additional money that'll come from external sources. But this match will live on in history. I mean, it's the furthest that somebody coming from a wild card position, ranked that low in the world, has made it in a Grand Slam in 7 years. It's the furthest that somebody has made it at Roland Garros in 40 years, ranked 350 or whatever she is. So perseverance, talent, coming back from the most difficult of circumstances, and just pulling through and putting up an exceptional matchup against one of the best players in the world is something that I will never forget, and I don't believe many tennis fans will ever forget. And stories like that are why we love tennis, because it's just so much more consequential for an underdog to win a major match like that than it is in any other sport. And I was so happy that I was able to watch it, to wake up early in the morning to watch it, and just to see what happened, because it was a true joy. So major respects and kudos to Lois Boisson. I look forward to watching her match against Andreeva. I don't know if she'll beat Andreeva, but who knows? Let's see if the Cinderella story can continue. Kind of like March Madness or something like that, where you just want the 16th seed to make it as far as they possibly can, even though you know eventually they have to lose. So we'll see what happens. Congratulations to her from a financial perspective, from a future of her tennis career, from a recovery perspective, from a visibility perspective. This is something that I, as a tennis fan, will never forget. And it was truly a joy to be able to see.